Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about accredited schools and medical billing and coding exams. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys, so I got a comment. I'm going to read the comment and then we're going to get into it. So here we go. All right, the viewer says, "Hi, I am a phlebotomist and studying medical billing and coding at a non-accredited school, which allows me to study at home on my own. I'm 59 years old and confident I will pass all of my tests. Being that it's a non-accredited school, I will not be able to take the certification exams." I'll come back to that. So now I'm looking at another school, okay? I'm studying at this other institute right now. I'm not going to say the name. Monthly payments are affordable for me. Any advice would help. So first of all, we have to learn to do our research. When you say you're not going to be able to sit for the certification exams, if you had looked at the association websites, there's two major medical coding associations. There's the American Health Information Management Association and the American Academy of Professional Coders. They have the credentials that employers are looking for. So if you are out there and you're studying medical billing and coding, you can sit, if you've done inpatient and outpatient studies, you can sit for the CCS or the CCA. And then if you've only studied for outpatient, you can take the CCSP or you can take the CPC. Any one of these four, all you need is one just to get you started. None of these programs require you to go through a formal program, okay? None of them. So you can go anywhere. Now, this school that she's going to presently, it doesn't really go in depth. From what I saw on the website, it only does like broad stroke type stuff. And it's very cheap. It's a very cheap program. So I looked at it. I was not impressed with it. And I will have to say that, if you want to study on your own, or if you want to save yourself some money, because I have the independent study video and it lists all of the books that you need to study with. It's literally going to be the same thing that you would get if you were going to a school. Okay, so you may want to save yourself a few dollars there. If you're a very disciplined person, you can totally look at the independent study video that is always in the description box, guys. Always in the description box. So take a look at it, get those books, or use them to supplement your own studies. Maybe you're going through a fast-paced medical coding program, or maybe you're going through a program like this person is, and it's just not covering everything. Maybe you need some more to supplement your studies. The independent study video with the syllabus will totally help you. And I will not answer any questions about the syllabus because it is down in the description box. So that being said, know that you don't have to go through a formal program. The only time that you have to be sure that you are going through an approved program is if you are going and pursuing the degrees. If you're pursuing your associate's degree, the registered health information technician, or if you are pursuing your bachelor's degree, the registered health information administrator, those have to be approved through CAHIM. The programs that you go to in college have to be approved through CAHIM. They are the accrediting body. They are the ones that if you are going through another program that's not them, you will not be eligible to sit for the RHIT or the RHIA. It has to be approved through CAHIM. And the link for that, again, is in the description box below. You can put in the name of the program, and then you can see on the list if it's approved or not, okay? Don't rely on the word of the recruiter at the college, okay? Because sometimes they don't know. Believe it or not, there are some colleges where the people, they're just there to just recruit people. They don't really know a lot about the industry. They're just there to collect a check and go home. And I'm here to tell you guys, you have to do your research. If you are wanting to get into the health information field, your first stop should be looking at the job listings to see what it is employers are looking for in your area. If it is a particular credential that you're really kind of on the fence about, maybe you're just wondering if you should pursue this credential or that credential, look in your area and see what they're asking for the most. Then go to the respective website and find out more about that particular test. Again, you can study on your own for the CCS, the CCA, the CCSP, or the CPC, and you can be able to take these. it hurts me when I hear somebody say, well, I won't be able to sit for the certification exam, and they're ill-informed, right? Because yes, you can, but it just takes doing a little bit more research. Now, I didn't get a response. I responded to this person, didn't say thank you, didn't say okay, nothing, because I said I was going to do this episode today on Monday. But if you get the message, you get the message. If you don't, well, my channel is still here and still full of videos that talk about all of the credentials and all the things that you can do. But when you are pursuing studying on your own, of course, you have to be disciplined and you have to set out a schedule for yourself. And you have to make sure that you are covering everything that's on those domains, on the websites. Because both the American Health Information Management Association or the American Academy of Professional Coders, they have their breakdown of the exams. And it literally says everything that is covered on that particular exam is listed under their domains, right? That will let you know, okay, this is the type of studying I'm going to have to focus on if I don't know a particular subject or something. So that's where you have to really kind of concentrate and focus on the websites. I will recommend that you don't get any of the prep books from AHIMA for the exams when it comes to the medical coding certification exams, the CCA, the CCSP, or the CCS, because a lot of people will write me and tell me, Blue, none of those questions were on the exam, and I memorized that book forward and backwards. They're never, ever going to be on the exam, because if they were, then everybody would be able to pass, because then it's just a memorization test at that point. These exams are meant to test your recall skills. They're meant to test your ability to be able to get through these manuals and to be able to, code appropriately and know what you're doing. So it's not all about memorization, guys. We have to be able to interpret complex medical documentation. So that's why these tests are set up the way that they are, and not just something that's so easy. So don't get dependent on those books. If you have the book, you have the book, but I would not waste my time with those test prep books like that. There's other brands out there, not just AHIMA. Again, what I recommend is in the description box below, the ICD-10 CM and ICD-10 PCS coding handbook with the answers, and the CPC study guide. And yes, I recommend the CPC study guide even if you are sitting for an AHIMA exam, the CCS, CCSP, or the CCA, because we are all tested on the same CPT manual. And that CPC study guide is all about that CPT manual. So you should be able to, get confident working through that book and work through that book. Work through that book so that way you'll be prepared. It's got really great scenarios in there. The ICD-10 CM and ICD-10 PCS coding handbook with the answers also has a lot of great exercises in the back of the book. So that is what I recommend that you use to test yourself to, as far as like getting ready for the test. Now, if you say, well, Blue, how do I know if I'm ready to take the exam if I'm just using the workbooks? As you use the workbooks and as you practice with your books, you will be able to not only get more proficient with looking up codes in the book, but you will get faster naturally. And it will serve you a lot better than trying to focus on a book that is really not going to prepare you, right? Like these exam prep books, right? Because again, they are just meant to ask questions. They're not meant to be like, this is actually what's on the test, okay? What's in those practice books is not on the test. I will keep saying that over and over again until I not get those emails anymore from people asking me why none of those questions are on the test, guys. These questions, these exams with AHIMA, they are administered at the Pearson VUE centers. It's a third-party testing center. They have tests for not just medical coders, but also for like other licensing type things, like for real estate or plumbing or whatever. Those types of exams for those other professions. And so there's a pool of many, many questions. So every exam with AHIMA is going to be different. Now, I don't know the thing about AAPC other than the fact that you have your choice of taking it at home or going to a place. I personally recommend that you go to a place. They're using paper-based exams when you go to a place. I think it's better because from what I've heard of people who take it at home, anything can go wrong. Anything can go wrong. And to me, it's just too much anxiety to have to worry about the camera setup. Can it see your area? And, what if the power goes out? What if the cat comes in and knocks down the table? And, there's just too many scenarios that happen. And I've mentioned this before. I had a viewer before who asked me repeatedly what my recommendation was, which was go to the place. And she had every excuse under the sun why she had to be at home. Well, guess what happened when she took it at home? She failed because the proctor made her so nervous. So then she ended up going to the place and taking the test there, and guess what? She passed. If you listened the first time, everything would have been okay, So, guys, I'm giving you my advice and my opinion because it's what I think is helpful for medical coders and students, because I've been there. I've been a student of medical coding for many, many years. This is 15 years already in the industry. So I've given a good chunk of my life already to this industry, and I will continue to help people. And whether you want to hear it or not, I will be here on YouTube giving my advice because I think it's important. There is no gatekeeping here, when it comes to, people are keeping the secrets. No, there's no secrets here. I will tell you all up front. This is the way that it is, And so, but with that in mind, preparing yourself for the test, knowing how long you're going to have for these exams is also another big thing. With the AHIMA exams, it's roughly 2 minutes per question. With the AAPC exam, it is 2 minutes, 40 seconds per question. Now, you're not going to be using that amount of time for every single question. There's going to be some questions where you're going to be able to go through them a little bit faster, so you'll be able to make up some time. However, you don't want to spin your wheels on a question if you get stuck. And that does happen occasionally where people get stuck and then they start to panic. If you don't know how to find the answer, or you don't know how to code a particular scenario, look at all of the options, pick the best option, and move on. That's all you can do. And don't even worry about it, because you can technically miss some questions, not a lot, but you can miss a question here or there and still pass, But again, if you've been studying, if you've been going through the books, if you've been working with your books, you're going to be just as fast and proficient and be able to get through that exam. And it's about getting through the exam, not just, I want to pass this test really bad. You have to make sure that you don't run out of time. At least make sure that all of the questions are answered, okay? So look at the amount of time that you have. Go through your books and work through those workbooks, those 2 workbooks that I recommend. So that way you can get fast with the books. Because the faster you are with looking up the codes, the better off you'll be. Instead of trying to look for those shortcut ways of, how do I tab and how do I write all of my notes? And the thing about writing notes, guys, you literally do not have time to read your notes when you're taking the test. You don't, because that time is going to go by so quick. The CCS, the CCSP, and the CPC are all 4-hour exams. The CCA is a 2-hour exam. Now, don't let its size fool you guys. It is a tough 2 hours, just like the other exams at their 4 hours. It is a tough 4 hours. It is very rigorous. So again, the only way you're going to be able to get through it quickly is if you've been practicing with your books. If you're not practicing with your books, if your books are all tabbed up and highlighted and all these writings all over it, what is the point in that? These books are written by doctors and other scholars. It doesn't need you to add anything to it, okay? I will always say that. People will always disagree with me and say, oh no, Blue, I have to have it that way. Have you ever been a coder before? Probably not. You're still a student. I'm a veteran coder, and I'm telling you that this is a way you should do it, because it's going to make you a sharper medical coder. It's going to make you a more in-depth medical coder, okay? Than trying to sit here and tab everything, and then people are still failing when they tab. And people are still failing when they write all these notes, Because do you have time to read those notes during your test? No, you do not. That's why you have to have been studying the whole time. And again, I'm going to say this. If you have not been studying for 20 hours per week during your program and during your prep time before you go sit for your certification exam, that's also going to hurt you too. 20 hours a week is doable for most any schedule, okay? Even if you are working a full-time job, even if you have a family to take care of, dogs and cats and birds and chickens, you know, any of those things, you can still fit in 20 hours. And how do you do that? There's pockets of time throughout the day where you can listen. There's pockets of time throughout the day where you can watch videos, and there's tons of videos on YouTube. I'm not giving any suggestions on like HIPAA channels or anything like that, because every time I do, I always get pushback. And guys, I can't with the pushback. Then y'all can look for those things, right? I also have my Patreon channel. Patreon is a lot like YouTube, where I will go on there and I'll do videos about myself, and I will also do exercises. I'll do quizzes, and then I'll do puzzles occasionally. I have to get back on the puzzles, but there's plenty of puzzles there if you join. The minimum pledge right now is $10 per month. The link to my Patreon channel is in the description box below. But yeah, that's just something that I offer to my Patreons, just the exercises and things. We do study hall once a month. I still have to look at the calendar and see when the next one is going to be, but I always let my patrons know when the next study hall is. And it's basically an hour, you know, being on Zoom on like a Saturday or an evening time. And, you know, we talk about any kind of coding questions you may have. And it's just good to kind of have that feedback from others that are maybe in your same situation. So, but yes, again, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below. So, but with that said, I will say that, you know, don't think that you can't take the exam just because you go through a fast-paced program, or just because you went through a program that's not approved or not accredited. You know, as long as you're doing all of the basic studies, and you can look at the domains on the website for the different exams, and look at those domains, find out, you know, what you need to know. And so that way you can supplement your studies from the fast-paced medical coding program. I've always said, guys, that even though people say, well, it's cheap and I can afford it, if you're spending over $1,000 and you're getting subpar education, again, you could have easily gone with the independent study video, got those books, and used those books to study with, and it would be a lot cheaper. You know, I'm just saying. So, but that's just my advice anyway. So, but with that said, I'm going to wrap this one up, guys. Again, do your research. Go to the websites, ahima.org, ahima.org, aapc.com, and look at the credential that you're trying to sit for, and find out what it is that you need to know. And then look and see for yourself that it doesn't require you to have experience. It doesn't require you to go through a formal program. And guys, if you're looking at the AHIMA website, do not miss that word where it says it is recommended. Recommended does not mean required. I always get that too. I get that comment afterwards. Oh, no, Blue, I can't sit for the CCS because it says it's recommended that you have experience when you sit for that that big kahuna credential. The CCS is the gold standard of medical coding credentials, because this says that you have mastered inpatient and outpatient. Now, there's disagreement out there. Of course, it's a big industry, right? People are going to say things based on serving their own needs, okay? If they're trying to sell a program, trying to sell a credential or whatever. But I will say that this is an industry known thing. Everybody knows that the CCS is the gold standard. And it is the gold standard because it says that you have mastered inpatient coding and outpatient coding, as opposed to other credentials where it is just like outpatient coding. This one covers both, okay? And if you look in the job listings, you will see it is asked for 99.999% of the time. They are asking for that certification. I'm just saying. So, with that said, if this video helped you, I hope you will like, subscribe, and share, and I will see y'all next time. Bye!